Good morning and welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known. We got so much going on a Friday. It's Friday Fun Day, Friday Controversy Day, as Princess Controversy. So we're gonna get you the controversy over the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, some wild comments again by Gene Simmons. Look, before we even get into that, I mean, I like Gene Simmons' show, that reality show he had some years ago. But look, I mean, he is way off the mark. But that's just my opinion. We'll get into that. There's some Broadway stuff going on. So lots of good stuff. Some more travel stuff today. But first, of course, we want to take you out to Shawnee B and get news you can use. Check her out. It's your girl, Shawnee B. And if you're cooler, you got to cool her, yeah.
Disclaimer. Well, when you got the job, you don't want to work, and when you don't got the job, you still apparently want to work for the damn job. Glass. Now, some of these stories, I say, there's no way on earth that this could be happening because where do y'all come up with this stuff from? Now, I'm taking you to North Carolina. Go on and stand up. Take your shirt off, twist it around your head, swing like a helicopter. Shout out to Petey Pablo. Now, at 41 years old, you would think that this North Carolina man would know better. But allegedly, he didn't care. So what he did was, apparently, he was an employee at one point of time for Little Caesars. Pizza. Now, at some point, he got fired. I don't know why. Well, there's been crazy weather, and at some point, there was a snowstorm. Maybe he knew the store layout back of his hand. He worked there. So he probably knew the little stuff that people did. So if he wanted to re-enter on the premises without them knowing, he knew how to do because he was an employee. He probably still knew the passcode, password, and probably still had a spare key. Who knows? I couldn't tell you. Now, what he did was that he not only broke into the place once, but he broke in twice. Okay? The first time he did, it was a massive snowstorm there. He broke in and he started making pieces and selling pieces to people, pocketing the cash. Okay. He did this after the venue was closed. I mean, in there using all their supplies, inventory, all of that. Telling people, yeah, pull up. I got you. Brrrah, say less. So he did it again. He said, oh, I made a lot of money, baby. But this time, the staff was aware. So they attempted to stop him, allegedly. An altercation pursued, and they called 911. Baby, let me tell you something. They arrested him, and he is now charged with felony breaking and entering. Okay? I don't know if y'all need to change y'all locks, get a better alarm code, or get better surveillance. Because how is somebody just coming in that thing like that and they no longer work there? No ID badge or nothing. And they in there just whipping up the product on your dime, getting paid, and you're not even getting reimbursed. So your inventory is not matching your sales. How many pieces did he sell is the question. Say what? Say what? Say what? That's why we say y'all so talented. Sir, it sounds like you like making pieces. So why you don't get your own business? Since you're making pieces, you could have did that at the house. You could have just got you a little piece of bake oven. And you could have been turning up for the 992,000, but you breaking and entering, sir. That's not going to look good for you. Why did they fire you? I need to know. I don't know if the audacity is because you felt entitled or it's a blend that you were pissed off and you was just gonna get your lick back. Like, I'm trying to figure out which one it is, because baby, you just act like that was your restaurant. Were you a manager? Because the access to me that you had to that building is crazy. Now, of course, you probably made a lot of money, because during a snowstorm, the first thing people are looking for is food. Was you delivering? Like, how was this? When you get out of jail, or while you get that 1 hour recess at jail, come in the comments and tell me how you did it. Like, what was the setup? Did you just know that you were gonna break in that day and tell everybody, put your order in on with me here, and when I get to the shop, I'm gonna put the order in. Woo, 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 woo. How did this work for you? You got so many legal consequences for your actions. I just don't even know. I just don't know, sir. What do you want to do? Because when you get out of job, you damn sure can't work in the food industry, not on the pizza side. Well, not at Little Caesar, because somebody may hire you. They may not go that far back on your background. But, sir, this is not the way to do it. This is not a good way to do it. You thought you were productive, but now you're a product of the jail system. See what I'm talking about? But it's partially their fault too, because they should get tighter security. Hello. But baby, I just can't believe half the stuff that come through this news media. Just the fact that you think that this would never ever happen, and it does. This is why I tell y'all, I'm just the messenger. It's your girl Shawnee B. If you're cool with your girl, go on food with your girl. Make sure you check out my website. Yes, www.shawneebentertainment.com. Check out the finger, optional drop donations, but never any pressure to do either of the two, because I see the likes, the shares, the comments. Means the world to me. So I just want to tell you thank you from my lips to your ears for rocking with me, because y'all could be anywhere in the world, but y'all come keep me company, and I appreciate that. But let's hop in the comments. Sometimes you hear people breaking in to steal like actual cash, but he was still in inventory to make cash. Like, robbing Peter to pay Paul, baby. What was the profit though? Because now you got to go to jail. You're going to need some money to go towards your attorney costs and your court fees. See? Y'all don't be thinking about the repercussions. You just think about the, oh, that might be a good idea. Were you high? What was you smoking on? But y'all gonna keep doing what y'all want to do. I'm just mind blown every time. Stay out the way, y'all, because jail food ain't good food. Okay? Either way, I'm just the messenger. And until next time, next story, and I'm out this piss.
Oh boy, nobody does it quite like she does. That's for sure. It is a trip and a half. Um, well, let's get into the controversy. OMG. Give me a break with this one, right? I saw responses from all corners of hip hop. What I haven't seen, what I really haven't seen is a lot of rockers respond. But I saw nonetheless, some great responses to this. Just from folks in the comments. I saw some great stuff about what Gene Simmons had to say. Of course, Chuck D responded. He did his thing. And he said a lot of what was true and on point as it pertains to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and what the Kiss leader Gene Simmons said. But American music has always been a turf war dressed up as a family reunion. On the Legends and Leaders podcast, we'll get into it. Gene Simmons stepped back into a fight he has kept alive for nearly a decade, questioning why rap and hip hop artists are inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He did not mince words, didn't couch his view in diplomacy at all. He said hip hop does not belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I just want to know when Led Zeppelin's gonna be in the hip hop Hall of Fame. I don't think Led Zeppelin wants to be in the hip hop Hall of Fame. And the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, of course, encompasses it. Music. It's music. And look, he talked about Iron Maiden as evidence that the institution has strayed from his name, that Iron Maiden hasn't been inducted either. He said rap is a spoken word art. Even by that admission, if you want to go with that, it seems that it would be eligible. He says it doesn't speak my language, so he personalized it. Doesn't speak my language. Gene Simmons said hip hop does not speak his language. I don't think hip hop artists set out to speak the language of Gene Simmons. He says it's not my music. Right, right. The three hits that Kiss made in their career is your music. Uh, is not compared to the hundreds of hits between Eric B. and Rakim, LL Cool J, Public Enemy. He says, I don't come from the ghetto. Not all hip hop artists come from the ghetto. And those who do, it's not a point of embarrassment for them. It's not something, it's almost like you're using, it's almost like he's using like derogatory terms here. The ghetto. Really, Gene Simmons? Oh my gosh. Look, he says it doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. Rap, hip hop. You guys, first of all, um, where can you find a hit without having some hip hop in it? That is the thing. As one poster on X said, that fact that Gene Simmons thinks all rappers come from the ghetto is telling. And then, as somebody else put him in his place, the origins of rock aren't much different than hip hop. If he can't relate to the origins of hip hop, he certainly can't relate to the origins of rock and roll either. And then somebody took it further. Somebody else took it further and said, it's wild when white artists are directly influenced by black musicians and still manage to be racist. Noting that Kiss took much of its style and signature from Patti LaBelle's LaBelle. And that's not new. It's not a new revelation. That was spoken of when it happened way back in the early 1970s, late 1960s. So where would you be, Gene, without LaBelle? Nothing should surprise us anymore. I mean, yeah, Gene had this view 10 years ago. He expressed this view 10 years ago. But in this period of, you could say anything, even if it comes off as racist. People just saying whatever they want now. And Gene Simmons is another example of that. I mean, they just, he just lost a founding member um, of KISS not long ago. I mean, shouldn't your attention be there? And whether you agree, I mean, I'm not a big fan of today's rap at all. I don't listen to today's rap. Some, the new stuff that Chuck and Flavor Flav puts out, but that's about it. The other stuff is noise to me. Just like, what do you hear from rock? What do you hear from Kiss and Iron Maiden and folks like that today? You don't hear nothing. Led Zeppelin. The only rock and roll group that you hear anything from was a couple of them. Rolling Stones, the oldies, right? And of course, my favorite rock and roll group of all time, I think they're the best American rock and roll group ever, is Aerosmith. And they treat their fans to some good stuff. My wife and I went to the Peace Out tour 2 years ago, before they got shut down when Steven Tyler had his issues with his vocals. But this idea that hip hop does not belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If you strip the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame of, and really, Gene was going, the first, among the first inductees was Ella Fitzgerald. And so you can't strip out the black artists and have any semblance. That's why they got rid of Jan Winter, who was overseeing the Rock Hall of Fame for a while. Because of views like that. If you strip the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame of black artists, you have no Hall of Fame. You have no Hall of Fame. And is Kiss worthy? Then the question becomes, is Kiss worthy of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? That becomes a question. As I mentioned, come on, how many Kiss hits can you name? How many Kiss hits are there? Big hits. Are you are you taking folks like Smokey Robinson and the folks from Motown, the Jacksons? Are you taking them out of the Hall of Fame? No, they're not. I'm not saying that Smokey and the Jacksons and Motown folks were hip hop, but they certainly the origins of it all, as Gene Simmons says, spoken word. Um, and where did that all come from? I mean, let's be real about where rock and roll began. Even Elvis acknowledged, and even if he didn't acknowledge, there's no getting around that. If you ever saw or had possession of or heard Elvis's, this came out in the 80s, the 25 greatest hits of Elvis Presley, including Hound Dog and Jailhouse Rock and all that stuff. All of that was lifted from a black artist. So I don't know where Gene Simmons is coming from. Well, we speculate where he's coming from, but I'm hard pressed. Detroit Rock City, Hard Luck Woman, Black Diamond, maybe. Those type of songs. I mean, they didn't really resonate. But okay, I Was Made for Loving You. But then, where else you going after that? With Kiss, and I Was Made for Loving You was written by Paul Stanley, who I wonder if he shares those views with his bandmate. I wonder if he shares it. They have it. To their credit, they have the anthem, right? I Want to Rock and Roll All Night. But I can't rock with Gene Simmons on this at all. He's way, way to the left on this. I love Chuck D's response. Just I can't rock with him on it. Not in the least bit. Not in the least bit. Oh boy. It gets you riled up on a Friday morning. That's just not, it should be illegal to get you riled up on a Friday morning. So let's let's switch gears then. Some stage and screen news, right? How about that? Here we go. An Imitation of Life, a new stage adaptation of the Fannie Hurst novel, Imitation of Life, featuring music and lyrics by Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony Award winner John Legend, And a book by Pulitzer Prize winner Lynn Nottage will premiere at the off-Broadway venue The Shed this fall. It has been announced. Additional details for the limited engagement, including cast and design and creative teams and production dates, are to be announced soon. The musical is based on both the 1933 novel and the 1934 and 1959 adaptations. The 1933 film was directed by John Stahl, and it starred Claudette Colbert, Louise Beavers, Freddie Washington, and Rochelle Hudson. So they are coming back, folks. They're coming back. Imitation of Life. How about that? That's pretty cool. And so folks are going to be looking forward to that as we get another incarnation of an imitation of life. That was huge. It was really, really huge. So looking forward to that. Among other things on Broadway. There's some other Broadway stuff that's coming out too, with some big stars, Don Cheadle, Taraji P. Henson. They are coming out with some things on Broadway coming this spring. So Broadway might just be the place to be. As we check that out. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about Fashion Week in New York. It's running till the 16th. And it's understood that a lot of African Americans are making their mark on Fashion Week in New York as we check out Fashion Week. The 2020, 226. I used to go to school, junior high school, 226. So here we are. But through February 16th, New York is going to be the center of the fashion universe as stars, designers, and fashion lovers come together. But this is no ordinary fashion show. It's a celebration of style, as well-known designers like Tory Burch, Marc Jacobs, and Sergio Hudson, along with newcomers, showcase their latest collections and let the rest of the world know what we've been wearing, what we'll be wearing, I should say, next fall and winter. One of the best parts of New York Fashion Week is all of the amazing street style, like some who pair leather jackets and animal print skirts and black stilettos for the Ralph Lauren show. Or Ralph Lauren, however you want to say it. Trying to be fancy a little bit. You know? There's nothing wrong with being a little fancy from time to time. Oh boy. But Fashion Week is upon us. And so we want to make sure that we check out what's really, really happening over there in New York Fashion Week. One of the best there is, along with Paris, right? They consider that to be, the hottest fashion weeks there is. So we will we'll keep an eye on that. See who's wearing what. Now we're going to turn to sports, folks. As you see on your screen, tennis. Homegirl is rocking and rolling. The man who molded Serena and Venus, well, he has another protege. And he has declared that 19-year-old Victoria Mboku has everything needed to become world number one. She's coming off another dominant performance at the Qatar Open. She's from Canada, and she is proving all of her supporters right, that they might be on something. Um, Serena Williams is ex-coach, who also mentored Andy Roddick, Maria Sharapova, and Jennifer Capriati, took to social media to share his assessment of her game, and his words certainly painted a picture of a future champion in the making. He identified three crucial elements to her game, three crucial weapons that separate contenders from champions, and he believes the Canadian deserves to be looked at in this way, and that she delivers elite performances in all three ways. One, a powerful serve that creates easy points and dominates rallies. Two, a devastating forehand capable of dictating baseline exchanges. And three, a reliable backhand that eliminates defensive weaknesses. According to Serena's ex coach, Mr. Massey, um, Victoria possesses the raw firepower on all three fronts, which gives her the foundation to compete for tennis's top ranking. Beyond the technical skills, he says she has this makeup that is a one of a champion. She has speed, the ability to recover defensively, and extend rallies even when pushed into difficult positions. Man, this it's. I remember watching Serena and Venus when they started, and you knew both of them because at first folks thought it was going to be Venus initially, but you know they turned out to be Michael and Jermaine Jackson, right? Serena being Michael and home home girl, her sister being Jermaine. So we're gonna keep an eye on this young lady for sure, for sure, for sure. So now we want to travel to Italy, and we get one person who talks about traveling to Italy solo, one young black woman, and how that worked out for her and the tips that she gives. Let's take a look as she travels to Italy. Christina Jane is her name.
In this video, I want to talk about my recent experience traveling to Italy solo as a Black woman traveler. So unfortunately, many Black people have experienced mistreatment or have reported just experiencing blatant racism while traveling to Italy, the same way that many people have also had great experiences. Leading up to my trip, I feel like while doing research, I saw so many videos of Black travelers having negative experiences. And being that my trip went from one where I would have a friend with me to solo, if I'm being honest, it started making me a bit nervous. As a Black traveler, I don't think people realize how much research is actually done regarding how racist a destination is or isn't, which is unfortunate, but it is just part of the Black travel experience. However, if there's one thing that I have learned over the last few years when I've started traveling, it's that I owe it to myself to experience destinations for myself, and what one person experiences may not be what I do. So I wanted to go out and see Italy for myself. Traveling while Black can come with so many things to consider, and I think it's very important that people do continue sharing their experiences. So this is why I wanted to make this video and share what my experience was like in Italy. So let's jump into the trip. I spent 1 week in Italy, and I started in Rome for 3 days, and then I spent my last 4 days in Florence. I've also heard that people can be a bit different in Italy depending on what region you're visiting. So like I had a guide that told me people in Milan were more serious and business oriented, which makes sense given that Milan is like fashion and people trying to kind of start their careers or advance in their careers. Whereas people in other regions might be more warm and are used to seeing different kinds of people, so the reception is different. different. I personally found people to be very warm and helpful in both Rome and Florence's, and I'm very happy to report that I did not experience any overt forms of racism while in Italy. I've seen people say that they were ignored at restaurants or just had all sorts of things said to them while traveling, but that was not my experience at all. Whenever I needed help with anything and I asked people on the street, they were very helpful. The staff at the restaurants I visited were always attentive, very present, willing to help and even just chat with me, random side conversations. So it was a very pleasant experience. And it's also not lost on me that like people in customer service positions obviously have to treat you nicely as a customer, but it felt very natural and above and beyond. So whether they were acting, I don't know, but it just felt really good and not anything that was forced. I was solo during my entire trip, aside from things where I would do like different group tours. So I did like a cooking class in Florence and then a Vespa tour in Rome where I had a guide, and then again in Tuscany. So that was good and never experienced anything that was out of norm. I found Italians to be very curious but warm. I'd be walking down the street and both the men and women would call me beautiful, which is bellissima in Italian. So I learned that word. And it was just so sweet and nice. And when I say Italian people seem curious, that's because I did receive a lot of stares. So if staring bothers you like it usually bothers me, I would just mentally prepare yourself as a Black person traveling in Italy because there is a lot of it. So I actually pleasantly surprised myself because usually staring is something that really gets on my nerves. But I feel like before going to Italy, I really did try to open up my mind and go in with a positive attitude because I was also very determined to enjoy this trip just based on everything that I have going on in personal life. So the staring honestly didn't even bother me that much. And I'll also say that the stares were never ones of disgust or why is she here or like looking at me crazy, but they were really just curious, like, oh, she's here, she's in this space, she's alone, like, what is she gonna do next type of thing? Sometimes it did feel like I was kind of putting on a show, but if it wasn't that, it was just like stares of admiration where it would be like, oh, look at her, or like, you know. So at least I'm happy. I don't think I received one dirty look while in Italy that I noticed, at least. And I'm also very observant. So it's not even like I was just very unaware of my surroundings. I'm always very hyper aware, actually, and always paying attention to everything that's going on. So that was good. I did make a short video about my experience with racism in Italy, like a 1-minute video. And one comment that stuck out to me is that if you kind of put yourself in an environment or a space where you're not looking for racism, it won't come to you. And I definitely wanted to address that. Just because I had a positive experience does not mean that I will ever dismiss those who did not have a positive experience in Italy. At the end of the day, racism really is everywhere and anti-Blackness is global, unfortunately, in so many communities and spaces. So if someone is sharing their experience in a destination and saying that they experience racism, I always lean on the side of believing them. I just always try to remember that certain nuances may be involved. And again, just because that's something they experience does not mean that that's what I experience, right? I'm not going to come across every individual that that person came across and vice versa. So I, again, don't feel like that because someone experiences racism in a destination is because they were looking for it, or if people talk about treatment that they've received, especially if they look a certain way, that it's not because of that. I just think those who have never had to really be hyper aware of the way that their identity impacts their experiences as they continue to navigate the world don't really understand just how much it does impact the way people have to go through the world on a day-to-day basis. And so I just think it's very important not to place blame on the individual that is sharing their experience. So that was pretty much my experience in Italy as a Black woman. It was honestly such a beautiful trip and one of my favorite solo trips that I've had so far. I'm really happy that I had a beautiful time. My fellow advice to Black travelers would be to always take up space. Me being the only Black woman in that large cooking class that, I'll even be honest, ended up in some political discussion that I also had to step in and speak about, was not the easiest thing. But again, I just pleasantly surprised myself on this trip with how calm I was, with how comfortable I was being the only person in these spaces. I feel like usually I'm kind of like hyper aware and even hesitant, but I just did not care and I wanted to take up space and have a good time. And I did just that. It is not always going to be the most comfortable thing, but we also deserve to see the world and have the experiences that we want to. And I encourage you to do just that. It's so important to be the representation that you eventually want to see so that as you continue to travel, you're not the only Black person in a lot of spaces, and that would be a beautiful thing. I've already dropped my Rome travel guide on my blog, beingchristinajane.com, that talks about where I stayed, where I ate out, the things I do, everything you need to know about safety, public transportation, all of that stuff, all in that guide for free. And I'll also be doing my Florence one. My vlog should be here on my channel of my Italy trip, so you can see how I kind of navigated through the country. And I hope all of that helps you plan your future trip to Italy if you are thinking about going or if you're planning a trip. Regardless of your background, let me know in the comments below if you've been to Italy or if you're planning a trip. Let me know if you have any concerns. I would love to ease your mind, especially again, if you're a Black traveler that's trying to get out there. Don't be shy at all. Feel free to use me as a resource in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to this channel for more travel vlogs, travel content, thoughts, and opinions about the world and travel in general. And I will see you guys in the next one.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Wow. So yesterday was spending or how to spend $100 or traveling to Lagos on $100. And today it's Italy. So stay tuned. We'll bring you some more each day because folks still like to travel. And, hey, maybe we can be of some assistance. Lots of fun stuff. None of the heavy stuff today. We don't need it every day, do we? But we really, really appreciate you guys. We are a work in progress. We are rebooting after some upheaval. And hey, this is how we fight the power. We appreciate y'all. Come back and join us each weekday morning at 7:30.
Thank you, love. That is a wrap, y'all. That is a wrap.